Good morning, friends, and welcome back to Random Hearts and welcome to the backyard. Today we are going to take you on a final tour of our garden space. We are at the end of our growing season, and for the 2023 season, this will be our last video for our garden. As you'll see today, as we walk around, things are starting to die back. We've got a lot of beautiful foliage around us, and we have started to clean out some of our garden beds and our flower beds. But without any further ado, let's just get going with this garden tour. We're going to begin right here in our fire pit area. This was one of our largest projects this summer that we completed. Now, this project was on the docket for several years, and we've had a lot of trouble getting everything together for it and with just putting this together. This was a big project for my husband, and it required a lot of skills he did not have and had to learn. But it turned out beautifully. We have loved this space, and we've used it many times this summer. So I will be voicing over much of this video. We had issues with the neighborhood dogs and a neighbor that was working on an engine and revving it. But this bed directly across from the fire pit area does have a lot of perennials and annuals in it that do need to be cleaned up soon. You'll see those daylilies are pretty yellow. They do need to be cleaned up before winter. I do not want the height of that Russian sage also, so I will be cutting that down. But I'll show you in another bed how I clean that bed up so that you can see what we do with our perennials. As we move into the patio, these are the only two planters that I still have with any kind of plants in them. I loved the fountain grass. The purple fountain grass was probably one of my favorites this season. You'll see under this apple tree, I have already cleaned out the little red wagon. I do have a few annuals in this bed to clean out, but pretty much everything else is done. And I did take out all of our grow bags and clean up all of our herb pots. Now we're moving over in front of the deck, and this is pretty much how this will look when we go to winterize the rest of the garden. I will show you here in a couple of clips what we did in this bed. I worked in this bed a few days ago, but this is basically what I will be doing in pretty much all of my flower beds, anywhere I have annuals and perennials mixed. I am going to be going through and cutting back most of the perennials. I do want to leave some foliage on the top. And if you live in a harsh climate like I do, where the winters can be very, very rough and winds and cold temperatures can affect your plants, you may want to leave a little more of your foliage. That just acts as an insulator for your plants so that they can make it through your winters. But I am going to take down most of my daylily foliage. I'm pulling out all of my annuals in this bed. You just saw me pull a marigold. And it is hard sometimes to take those plants. Those hadn't died yet. But I am going to go around and clean up all of my perennials. These are dianthus right here, just taking off all that extra little foliage that won't be quite as clean and kept. But that is all I'm going to do in this bed. I'm working right now with another dianthus, and then I will eventually work on the Shasta daisy that's right up front. Then I take a small rake and I clean up all the debris and make sure everything looks nice and tidy. Make sure that I don't have anything that might be harboring some kind of bugs. I do have slugs in my garden, so I want to make sure I don't have anything that could be giving them a safe haven for the winter. And then I'm going to take a little rake, a hand trowel here, and I'm going to kind of break up my soil. Now, if you're not aware, I live in Wyoming, and we do have pretty rough soil conditions. So every season, I add in some amendments. I am adding a little bit of steer manure here and just kind of breaking up that soil, making sure it's not so compacted. And then I will top dress all of this with some soil conditioner. That is what I'm adding right now. It is basically wood chips and a little bit of compost, and they've been added together. They make a great ground cover, and they work really well to even insulate around some of my more tender plants. But that is all I'm going to do here. Then you just want to make sure that you give a quick rinse, make sure everything's well watered and fed for the winter. As we move around the corner, underneath this aspen tree here, you'll see we've got quite a lot of fall color. All of our barberries are getting their color, and our plum tree, unfortunately, has already lost its leaves. I do have some clips here in a minute where I'm cleaning up this bed, and if you look in those clips, you will see what color the leaves were. They were gorgeous. But here's the clip of me cleaning this bed up. I pretty much have perennials in this bed. There are a few annuals up front. I did not choose to take them out. They seem to be doing very well, and I just didn't have the heart to take them out. So the lobelia and the impatiens that are still in this bed are still growing. I will eventually have to take those out, but pretty much everything else in the bed has been cut back and is ready for the winter. I did not add any soil amendments to this one yet, so I need to get on that, but I do cut down our lavender and even the gypsophilia in the front, that baby's breath. That is where I tend to find the most slugs in the spring. So I decided that I will trim those down this year and see how they do. I have never done that in the fall, and I don't know if they'll do well with it or not, but they were cut back this year. So we'll see if they come back next spring. And you'll see a just gorgeous day. It was a little bit windy the day I was working in the backyard here, but just lovely fall day. And I really am kind of sad but happy that the season is over. We really need the cooler temperatures. I struggle with allergies, and seasonal allergies, definitely sagebrush is one of the culprits, and I really need it to stop being in bloom. So bittersweet, but definitely I was able to clean this whole bed out. Looks so much better. But as you move up the hill here, you'll see that we've got still a lot of color, and I definitely need to do some things with the hostas. And that is pretty much this area underneath the elm tree. I do have a couple of barberries here and a spirea in the back, but that is everything in this bed. As we move into this next section, you're going to see we have a lot of color in here, and that is because we have quite a few shrubs in this area. I've got some hydrangeas right here, and they did finally turn their pink color. I knew they needed a little cooler temperatures to do that, but they are gorgeous, and I love the yellow leaves that are coming on the bottom. My campanula is still blooming, and I still have a couple of dianthus blooming as well. We've got 9-barks in here, more Russian sage, and all of those Russian sage will get trimmed back before winter. And then all of the sedum and the petunias here and marigolds will be removed. That is pretty much this bed right here. We've just got some beautiful color. Love the maple here. It is an amazing tree, and I'm very happy with it. Already starting to lose some of the leaves, and I was a little afraid if we didn't get out here soon enough to get this video captured, we would not have the gorgeous color. But yeah, we will be taking out all of these marigolds, trimming up our Russian sage, and of course these barberries. Look at that fire color there. Barberries and 9-barks alike, both of them just gorgeous in this bed. As we finish up in this area, we're going to pan out and see what we get to look at every single day when I walk from my garden back to the house, and it is just an awesome sight. I love the color. I love what is happening in this backyard, and I'm just in awe at what it looks like now compared to what it looked like just 6 years ago. So very happy with this, and as we move into the garden area, you're going to see that I don't have much of anything left in the garden beds. I did clean these 2 beds out the other day, and I will share that footage right here. As I did last year, I am going to be removing all of my staples from the drip tubing. I just flop that drip tubing out onto the ground and make sure I pull all the staples. I do find a couple here as I am digging through the garden bed, but that is pretty normal and it's not anything to be concerned about. It does happen. I'm just taking my fork and I'm doing a half twist motion. I'm making sure that I'm kind of just tilling up the first like 6 inches of the bed. And because I do have native soil in this bed, it does compact just like my flower beds do. So I am adding some amendments here. I've got not only some compost, but I've also got some steer manure. And because this bed was a little low on soil, I am actually adding in some raised bed mix. and I'm going to top this all off with a little bit of warm castings. I'm going to do that in all 5 of my beds this year and give them all a little bit of a boost. Then I'll go in and stir all that back up with the fork, and that just helps to incorporate everything a little bit more, move it around, and get it mixed in. Now, this is not a perfect method, and if I had a small tiller, that would be perfect, but I don't have a small one that I can get into the bed. And I know there are a lot of people that don't like to till their beds. They don't believe that that's a good practice. But in Wyoming, I feel like my garden soil would be just a piece of concrete if I did not. So I'm just smoothing this out, getting everything ready for some water. Then I'm going to rinse off the bed here, get some water into that bed so they can start adding some of that moisture back to the soil, and then I'll reattach my drip tubing. Now next year we will be removing our drip tubing. We noticed that at the end of this season that some of the emitters are plugged from our hard water, so we will be replacing all of it, but I wanted to keep it in the bed so I knew exactly where it was going next year. I'll just reattach my hoops, and that is all there is to it. So you'll see that I really don't have much left over here. I've just got some carrots at the end of this one bed, and then in my perennial bed, I've got my strawberries and chives, and I've already cut those back, and I'm just waiting for some garlic so that I can add that to the other end of the bed. Then I'll add straw to everything. And of course, my problem child bed here, this is the one that is under the elm. I don't know what we're gonna do, but next year, I don't think I'm gonna be planting much in that. Nothing really did very well in that bed this year, and so I just don't want the disappointment next year. Well, friends, that's going to do it for this video and our 2023 garden season. We hope that you've enjoyed this and watching as we've gardened and our space has changed over the last 6 months. We really enjoyed getting that patio finished this year. That was one of our largest projects and something that we've kind of been putting off for a little while, and it feels so good to have that one done. Next year, we are hoping to get the pavers around our garden beds taken care of, and possibly that bridge between the grass level and the patio level done. So we had a productive vegetable season this year, not as good as last year, and we do kind of blame that on our weather. But you never know from year to year what is going to happen, what is going to be good, and what is not going to be good. And I do think that I will put out one more video talking about some of the things I want to change next year and possibly what we will be doing in our next garden season. But we appreciate you being here. We know that this has been kind of a strange video. I've had to do quite a bit of voiceover on this because we've had a lot of noise pollution from the neighbors, but that just happens when we live in a town where we're very close to each other, and we live on a busy street as well. So we hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below in the comment section. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. That helps us out quite a lot, and like I said, it's noisy here, but you are always appreciated here, and we hope that you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Well, friends, that's going to do it for this video.